Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, December 11th. Your forecast from the, it's the 12th, isn't it? It's a good way to start the show, giving you the wrong date. Let's try this again. Good morning. It's Friday, December 12th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, high 34. And then the weekend looks like this. Saturday, cloudy, high 40. And then Sunday, we'll have snow in the morning. Here in the New York City area, probably 1 to 3 inches will fall in the morning. And then you'll have sunshine in the afternoon, high 33. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it is 23 and clear in Upper Nyack in Rockland County, 29 and clear in Egg Harbor over in New Jersey, and it's 25 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
A bus crash had everyone running for cover in Midtown. A tourist attacked inside Macy's Herald Square. A drone takes on a Long Island shoplifter. An iconic Newark brewery shutting its doors. And a Times Square dive bar fights to stay open. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Let's start with that out-of-control bus that plowed into a Midtown Manhattan building yesterday, taking out scaffolding, wrecking the area. One person injured. It could have been a whole lot worse. This block was packed. It was 4:35 in the afternoon, right at East 41st Street between Lex and Park Avenue. Here were some of the eyewitnesses.
I can't even imagine how that could have happened.
Yeah.
Wow, I've never seen that before. A bus in the wall.
It was quite a sight. So you can see this bus just sort of sticking out of the side of a skyscraper. The bus was going eastbound on East 41st when they lost control, smashed through the scaffolding. That's what all the noise was. People didn't know. They just heard loud noises of the scaffolding falling everywhere. So they ran from the area.
At first we thought at least like a bomb went off or something because the way people were running down the street.
Yeah, one person transported to Bellevue Hospital. We don't know what their injuries are. They haven't released that. No passengers on board the bus when it mowed through the building.
It was like earthquake. I think like something is wrong with the building. Like maybe a bomb blast, like boom, like this sound, It
sounded like a building was falling.
Here's what we know about the bus driver, a man in his 30s, an investigation into the crash ongoing. Coach USA sending us a statement saying that the company, because it was a Coach USA bus, saying the company was looking into the incident, assured that no pedestrians or any others were injured, though we do have one person injured. Again, don't know how extreme those injuries are. 5:02, a federal grand jury down in Virginia refusing again to indict New York Attorney General Letitia James.
It marks the second time in a week the Department of Justice has been rejected from refiling the case. A judge dismissed an earlier case last month based on the unlawful appointment of U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan. Prosecutors allege that James falsely listed a home she purchased in 2020 as a second home instead of an investment property to potentially save $19,000 over the life of the loan with a more favorable mortgage rate. James denies all wrongdoing. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
The Queens DA says they busted open a major theft ring, bringing more than 780 charges against more than a dozen defendants. District Attorney Melinda Katz says the defendants operated out of Queens, but are connected to at least 319 separate thefts at 138 Home Depots across 9 states.
But this is the thing with all of the 9 states. Whatever they did, they planned it in Queens. The head of it lived in Queens. The van was kept at his apartment, his house in Queens. They met in Elmhurst on Hoffman.
Katz says her office seized more than $2 million worth of merchandise, storing and selling items across the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens. Governor Hochul, she was at this press conference yesterday, says that she's going hard against large-scale shoplifting rings, which are behind all these things.
Send one message to those brazen enough to undertake something of this scale here in the state of New York and in other states. Your days are numbered.
You know what's amazing about this is in these cases where they were ripping off Home Depot stores, sometimes they weren't like walking out with like screwdrivers and nails, you know, which you can stick in your pocket. They were walking out with air conditioners and power tools. So is nobody stopping them?
So we can talk about the numbers being down in the city of New York on all these crimes, and they are, by the way. And it took good work to get them there. But when you're standing on that line watching people walk out the door without paying the bill, to you, crime's at 100%.
Yeah. If you're like me, no doubt you've seen this, right? I mean, I've walked into stores and I've watched people walk out with things. And apparently that was happening at all these Home Depots across 9 different states. 505, we have those new interest rates we told you about earlier this week. So how will those interest rate cuts affect you? WABC's business reporter Joe Connolly has more details.
Car loans tend to come down after a rate cut. Variable rate credit cards usually do too, though it may not make much difference at these rates. The Federal Reserve does not set mortgage rates, but new mortgage rates may come down some as an indirect result. Home equity lines of credit usually come down. There's no effect on student loans. The rate cuts could help job seekers. The main goal is to encourage companies to grow and hire. Joe Connolly, 77 WABC News.
Out to Michigan, where former University of Michigan head coach Sharon Moore is expected to be arraigned this morning after being arrested and fired from the school earlier this week. Michigan football, well, it's in turmoil. Correspondent Shaquille Brewster has more.
Former Michigan head coach Sharon Moore was jailed Wednesday, according to booking records, but details on the charges were not immediately released by local officials. His detention coming just hours after the university announced he had been fired with cause. When asked about reports of Moore's arrest, local police say they responded to accusations of an alleged assault Wednesday afternoon, but did not confirm if Moore was the suspect. They declined to release more details pending the ongoing investigation.
Yeah, so Moore was named Michigan's head coach. It was just 2 years ago.
One of the youngest Division I FBS coaches, Moore reportedly signed a $30 million 5-year contract. According to his Michigan football bio, Moore is married with 3 children.
Okay, they've been doing a pretty good job of keeping a lid on this case. We don't know all the charges against the coach, though there are women that have been speaking out to places like The Sun, the New York Post, telling their stories. Online records show Moore taken to the local county jail on Wednesday evening. It's unclear what charges he may face, but it appears they are related to some sort of assault investigation. We'll wait and see when that arraignment happens a little bit later this morning. WABC News Time 5:08. I should add to Joe's report. I woke up this morning, was surprised and didn't see it here in the city. There was snow in Jersey City. I had to spend, 5-10 minutes wiping snow off my car this morning. I had no idea it was going to be there. It was nice to see. It's pretty. But if you're somebody who's lying in bed thinking about you want 10 more minutes, you might want to look out the window and see if you have snow to clean off your car at this hour as well. 5:09. At least 6 hospitalized after a huge explosion rocked a neighborhood in the San Francisco Bay Area yesterday. The explosion and fire happened in this densely populated part of Hayward.
I could sleep through anything, and it woke me up. And it was a big boom, and the house jumped. Literally jumped.
Yeah, that's neighbor Timothy Thompson, who first thought it was an earthquake. Several homes destroyed. An area highway was shut down. There was a construction project going on right before this blast took place.
Only you see is black smoke and fire. Just fire, just shooting up.
Yeah, so of course people freaking out because they didn't know what was going on. It seems it was all connected to this utility project, and a underground gas line was hit.
The flow of gas was stopped at 9:25 a.m. Shortly after, at approximately 9:35 a.m., an explosion and structure fire occurred on Llewellyn Boulevard.
Yeah, so several homes damaged. At least one was completely destroyed.
A lot of the challenges that initial crews faced were power lines were actually falling onto the homes because of the flames impinging upon them.
Yeah, I spent most of the day yesterday doing cleanup. They say a third-party construction group was behind this blast. They dug in a place they shouldn't have been digging. 510, or how about digging? 510, floodwaters in western Washington state have now forced over 100,000 people to evacuate. Governor Bob Ferguson had a message for those across the state.
I just want to emphasize that if you have instructions to evacuate from your local authorities, please, please, please evacuate.
Yeah, lots of times people want to stay. It comes after several days of really heavy rain in the region that's led to waterways reaching record levels. This is right north of Tacoma.
We understand that many folks have experienced significant floods in the past and that they may feel they can ride it out. The flooding levels we're looking at are potentially historic in nature. And so we just want to emphasize how serious the situation is.
Yes, so serious that the National Guard has been brought in. They've been stacking sandbags in certain places to attempt to push back the floodwaters that have already started to rise there. 511 down to Washington. The White House says President Trump will act if Congress can't come up with a bill to fix rising health care costs. That's according to White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who was asked about the Senate voting down dueling partisan measures over Affordable Care Act subsidies.
The president is prepared to take action on health care, and he wants Republicans on the Hill to do the same.
Leavitt says the president will be addressing the issue soon.
He has made unprecedented progress towards lowering health care costs in this country and drug prices. He's secured numerous most favored nation drug price deals with many more to come. The president and Republicans are currently coming up with creative solutions and ideas to lower health care costs for the American people, and you'll continue to hear more from them.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says GOP leaders are moving forward with a health care package that excludes ACA subsidy extensions, but would instead set up health savings accounts for families and individuals. But here's the problem. Health care costs will spike for 22 million Americans if the ACA subsidies are allowed to expire at the end of the year. So they don't have a whole lot of time to get this done. 512, President Trump says he wants the U.S. to lead in the AI revolution, making the remarks while signing an executive order in the Oval Office yesterday that steers AI regulations to the White House and away from individual states.
We want to have one central source of approval every time you make a change, and it could be a very reasonable change. You still won't get it approved if you have to go to 50 states.
This is the argument from the White House. They maintain it is too cumbersome for AI companies to grow unless the president, in his words, says one central source for approval for these AI companies. So the executive order puts AI under what would be a single national standard.
We also know that a big part of our economy, it could be 50, 60% of our economy going forward for a period of time at least, especially during the startup, is AI and AI-based. We're leading China by a lot. China knows that, and not doing this would be the greatest gift to China and other countries, but China in particular, that China has ever received.
Yeah, that's the president says the order is necessary so the U.S. can beat China in the artificial intelligence race. The House rejecting yesterday a bid to impeach President Trump.
Democrat Al Green of Texas introduced a resolution on Thursday with 2 impeachment articles: abuse of presidential power by calling for the execution of members of Congress, and abuse of presidential power to intimidate federal judges. A Republican motion to table the impeachment passed with the help of Democrats. Democratic House leaders released a joint statement saying that with the Republican majority focused solely on rubber stamping Donald Trump's extreme agenda, they will instead continue fighting to make life more affordable. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The Democratic National Committee, they're holding their winter meetings in warm Los Angeles.
It's already shaping up to be a preview of some upcoming elections. Next year's midterm elections will be a major topic, but so will the presidential election in 3 years. Some of the politicians who are likely to compete for the nomination are in town for the meeting. That includes Governor Newsom and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. The meeting also includes a panel discussion on last month's elections in California, New York, New Jersey, and Virginia. The winter meeting runs through Saturday. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
In a moment, we'll hear from Homeland Chief Kristi Noem, who was facing some really intense pushback from Democrats on Capitol Hill yesterday. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Friday. Good morning, Justin Elliott.
Happy Friday. Good morning to you, Noam Oladen. Started on the gridiron. Tampa Bay last night, Thursday night football, was the Falcons besting the Buccaneers 29-28. Kyle Pitts had one of the greatest games ever for a tight end. 3 touchdowns. He had I think over 200 yards receiving. So great game for Kyle Pitts, and the Falcons, they upset the Buccaneers. They moved to 5-9. They're third in the NFC South. And the Buccaneers, they fall to a even 7-7, and they drop to second in the NFC South, making way for the Panthers in first place there. Coming up Sunday, the early afternoon slate, 1 p.m. kickoffs for both of your local contests here. The Giants will welcome in the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are 3-10, the Giants at 2-11. Giants there 2.5-point home favorites at MetLife, and the 3-10 Jets, they'll be at the 9-4 Jaguars as 13.5-point road underdogs. Yeah.
Do you think anybody's going to sit in the stands at MetLife Stadium? Because it's supposed to snow on Sunday for that Giants game.
It's supposed to snow. It's supposed to snow there. It's supposed to snow in Philadelphia. I'll be in Philadelphia watching the Eagles and the Raiders.
But that makes more sense because the Eagles are likely going to the playoffs. But
yeah.
To sit at a Giants game against a team that's only one game better than you, the Commanders.
You got to be a good level of psychotic, insane.
Right.
You got to have some serious mental issues if you're going to go sit there for the entirety of the game.
But I bet you can probably get like 50-yard line seats for like $100.
Without a doubt, 100%. Tailgates could be fun with the little snow drops, people throwing snowballs and stuff.
And a snow game is fun, actually.
Yes. But then sitting there in the stands watching a 2-11 team playing a snow game against against a 3-10 team, maybe that's not the best case scenario.
Yeah, that is insanity.
We'll head to the ice here in Elmont. Anders Lee scored twice and had 2 assists, and David Rittich made 31 saves, and the Islanders beat the Anaheim Ducks 5-2. Up next for the Owls, they'll host Tampa Bay tomorrow afternoon. Speaking of those Lightning, they doubled up on the Devils last night in Jersey. The final score 8-4. Up next for the Devils, they'll host Anaheim tomorrow afternoon. And on the hardwood tonight, after a quiet night last night in the NBA, 8:30 p.m. tip-off for the Nets out in Dallas against the Mavericks. That is your Sports Now, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
5:17 now. Traffic, transit on the 7s. Joe Nolan, you sat through that Devils loss last night, no?
Yeah, brutal.
Did you stay for the whole thing, or did you leave early?
I didn't stay for the whole thing. I get up in the morning. I left midway through the third period. This is done.
Yeah.
It's 8-4. Stop it. They need Quinn Hughes in here so bad. They got to do something. They got to change. They got to get rid of everybody.
8 goals.
Anybody who's not named Hughes, out.
Yeah, okay. Well, I saw that we had a great picture of you, your son, and your grandson. You were all outfitted in Devils uniforms.
My daughter-in-law was there, too. That was fun. And then the other thing, too, that happened was that Liam, MSG, put a big close-up of Liam on TV.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, so then it was worth going.
Yeah, we got all kinds of texts while we were there. Liam was on TV.
Well, he's going to be disappointed just like the rest of the family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What are you going to do? He's a Jet fan, too. So.
Oh, God. Yeah. WABC News Time 519. Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem facing some intense pushback from Democrats on Capitol Hill yesterday.
I call on you to resign. Do a real service to the country and just resign.
That was Congressman Benny Thompson from Mississippi. Noem was testifying before a House committee on potential threats to the U.S., and Democrats were using the opportunity to take a deep dive on President Trump's immigration crackdown in U.S. cities, specifically the continued use of National Guard troops and ICE officers in blue cities like Chicago, L.A., and elsewhere.
Very privileged and honored today to have my family with me. I'd like to introduce them to you.
Yeah, it was a little crazy inside that room.
Under President Trump's leadership, DHS is securing our borders, we're restoring the rule of law, and we're protecting the homeland.
520, senators would not get paid during future government shutdowns under a resolution headed to the Senate floor. California Senator Alex Padilla wants this applied to all elected officials.
I believe that we should treat members of the House and the members of the Senate in the same way.
The longest shutdown in history, government shutdown, that ended back in November, while lawmakers continued to collect paychecks. Of course, federal workers, congressional staffers, they all worked for free.
Would place the Senate on unequal footing with the House and potentially adversely complicate shutdown negotiations in the future.
The union representing U.S. Capitol Police said this week that some officers are still fighting, even though they worked through the shutdown, to receive that back pay that they were promised. The White House says it intends to keep the oil from a tanker that was seized by the U.S. off the coast of Venezuela this week. The Justice Department says the tanker taken by force because it was used to transport sanctioned oil to Iran from Venezuela.
The Department of Justice requested and was approved for a warrant to seize a vessel because it's a sanctioned shadow vessel known for carrying black market sanctioned oil to the IRGC.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt there says the U.S. is following all legal guidelines and in the process of completing forfeiture of the oil.
The president is committed to stopping the illegal flow of drugs into our country. He's also fully committed to effectuating this administration's sanction policy, and that's what you saw and the world saw take place yesterday.
And Leavitt was asked by reporters yesterday during a press conference about possible strikes and land operations by the U.S. in Venezuela.
Prolonged war is definitely not something this president is interested in. He's been very clear about that. He wants peace. He also wants to see the end of illegal drugs being trafficked into the United States and taking the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans across our country.
But this comes as tensions have definitely escalated between President Trump and Venezuelan President Maduro. The head of the National Counterterrorism Center out with some concerning new numbers on illegal immigration during the Biden administration.
Around 18,000 known and suspected terrorists that the Biden administration let come into our country.
That's Joseph Kent. He told Congress yesterday that some have ties to terror organizations like ISIS.
These are individuals who under normal circumstances would never be allowed to enter our country because of their ties to jihadi groups.
And he says that there are other unknown border crosses that remain a persistent threat to national security. He told Congress that around 18,000 known and suspected terrorists were allowed into the country during the Biden years. 523, let's go now to South Carolina, where this measles outbreak there has been spreading.
So far, there have been at least 111 cases reported in upstate South Carolina, an area in the Northwest that includes Greenville and Spartanburg. The vaccination rate for students in Spartanburg County is 90%, below the 95% that doctors say is required to protect against outbreaks. The spread is linked to schools and a church, and some students have been quarantined. I'm Mark Mayfield.
523, so-called natural killer cell therapy could be the answer to helping improve Alzheimer's patients in later stages. NKGen Biotech, the CEO there, Dr. Paul Song, says the therapy has shown great promise in the trials that they've done.
The majority of our patients are actually improving from moderate stage to mild. And these are patients who, prior to our treatment, were incapable of independent living. They would leave the stove on or they'd walk somewhere and get lost. They're now able to do all of those things.
Yeah, this is exciting if this ends up being something that really works. Unlike the newer Alzheimer's drugs that are out there that just slow progression in early stage patients, Dr. Song says his drugs therapy has shown dramatic cognitive improvement for those who are further along in the Alzheimer's stages.
Most of the treatments are focused on early stage, at best slow the decline, but we're actually changing their stage altogether. Not only help to remove protein accumulation in the brain, but they reduce the neuroinflammation, and that's really our secret sauce. That's why we're seeing real dramatic improvements.
Dr. Tong says it takes about 3 weeks to grow the first dose, which then patients receive through a simple IV in an outpatient setting that takes takes less than an hour.
There's no treatment that really targets that population. Everything's focused on mild. And we felt that if we could at least make this group improve from moderate to mild, that this would allow families to potentially go back to work, wouldn't need to watch this group of patients 24 hours.
So many people suffering from Alzheimer's. A trial for moderate stage patients is underway. 525, a Macy shopper in the hospital after she was stabbed inside the department store's flagship store in Herald Square.
A 43-year-old Massachusetts woman, Carrie Ahern, was arrested Thursday inside the Herald Square store and charged with attempted murder, assault, and a weapons count. Police were called to the 7th floor of the store around 3 p.m. Thursday. A 38-year-old woman was stabbed repeatedly in the back and arm. She's stable. No word on what led to the attack. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
WABC News Time 525. Waymo talking about a new kind of driverless delivery. They had, the company revealed that a woman gave birth while she was inside a Waymo headed to a hospital in San Francisco. Waymo are those driverless cars that are around San Francisco and a couple other cities.
The company's
this is correspondent Liz Kurtz, by the way.
The company says its remote rider support team detected unusual activity, which initiated a call to check on the passenger. Operators from the response team then called 911 as the vehicle kept going.
Yeah, okay. The passenger made it to the hospital, but was in labor. So this car, of course, there's no driver. It kept driving. And in fact, the Waymo got to the hospital ahead of the emergency services who had been alerted about this.
The company celebrating the news, saying, "We're proud to be a trusted ride for moments big and small, serving riders from just seconds old to many years young."
And the baby, the mom, they're doing just okay. It's, by the way, not the first time a baby was born in a Waymo. The company says it also happened in Phoenix earlier this year.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, December 12th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, high 34. The weekend, well, kind of a mixed bag. Saturday, cloudy, high 40. And then Sunday, we'll have snow showers in the morning, maybe 1 to 3 inches right in the immediate New York City area. And then sunshine in the afternoon, high 33. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 23 and clear in Upper Nyack and Rockland County. It's 29 and clear in Egg Harbor over in New Jersey. And it's 25 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 539. Just a chaotic scene inside Macy's Herald Square yesterday. A tourist stepped into a bathroom on the 7th floor of the Macy's Herald Square, and that's when a homeless woman, unprovoked, attacked her with a knife, stabbed her in the shoulder, the arm. People said they heard the commotion. Other people outside the store say this is all very frightening.
That's horrible, and especially this time of the year. Pretty safe environment. I wouldn't imagine something like that to happen.
It's very scary, for sure. Yeah, it stinks. We keep our heads high, right? We try to pay attention.
Yeah, victim suffered multiple stab wounds to her back, a laceration to her right arm. She actually works as a civilian for the state sheriff's office in California in Jurupa County. Her husband's actually a sheriff there, so I can imagine how freaked out they were when this attack took place inside the women's room on the 7th floor. A female person of interest taken into custody at the scene.
We all come in here with families. We don't know what happened, so, I mean, of course you want more security.
And police telling us this morning the person they took into custody is 43-year-old Carrie Ahern. She's from Massachusetts, charged with attempted murder, assault with a weapon, and assault and criminal possession of a weapon. This is, by the way, the second attack that is taken place inside the iconic Macy's store in Herald Square in the past month. Back on November 19th, a 71-year-old was shopping in the store with his family when somebody approached him from behind and hit him in the head 4 times with a cell phone. That attack was unprovoked. Police did make an arrest in that attack as well. 540. Mayor-elect Mamdani not waiting to be sworn in to begin his work running the city yesterday. He spent time with kids at the Little Scholars Child Care Center in Chelsea, and then he opened it up to reporters to ask him questions about what is one of his top campaign promises, universal child care. His plan calls for the city to provide free child care for those 6 weeks to 5 years old. Now, of course, the big issue is how to come up with the money to pay for that. But he says in the end, it makes economic sense to do his plan.
In 2022 alone, our city lost an estimated $23 billion in economic activity because parents had to leave jobs or reduce their hours to care for their children.
Now, paying for universal free child care going to cost a lot of money. Some estimates anywhere from $5 to $8 billion a year. Governor Hochul has suggested that she's on board with this, but the question is how to raise this money. The mayor-elect wants to do it with a tax on millionaires and corporations, and he met with some of those millionaires and corporations earlier this week trying to come up with a plan that would actually work.
That's a conversation that continues, and it's one that I believe presents the most obvious way to fund initiatives such as this.
Now, of course, you would need staffing and buildings to do this kind of program, and so they'd have to work on that. Mamdani says in the meantime, he's trying to fix what is the existing flawed system for child care in the city.
There have been offers to families who live in Bed-Stuy for a 3K seat, and when they look at the details, that seat is in Astoria.
Now, of course, the mayor pressed for more answers to how he's going to roll this out, when he would roll it out. He says some of those answers won't come until he takes the oath of office on New Year's Day. 542 out to Queens, where the DA there issuing a warning to potential shoplifters this holiday season after announcing just what was a major bust in an organized shoplifting ring. Linda Katz has a message for repeat offenders.
Just because you get away with it once doesn't mean that when you come back and do it again, we're not watching, especially in these stores.
The 13 defendants in this case were facing a 780-count indictment for more than 300 alleged thefts from Home Depots across 9 states. They stole things like air conditioners, power tools, just walking out the store with them in hand.
That's my only message as we enter our holiday season, and people are paying good, hard-earned money in order to buy their family and friends the gifts and things that people need during this season.
Yeah, and there was a shoplifting call in Comac out on Long Island yesterday that quickly turned into a search for multiple people. It began when 4 people allegedly stole items from a Dick's Sporting Goods on Jericho Turnpike in Comac. Police say when officers arrived, 3 women and a man were seen leaving the store. They scattered. One of the suspects, her name is Ana Marie Guzman. She took off in a car, and then a short time later, she caused, or it was one of the reasons, there was a multi-vehicle crash in Huntington. So she then runs away from that scene. So police say, oh, wait a minute, let's put up our drone and see if we can find her. And sure enough, the drone was launched. This was about 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And they used thermal imaging scans, and they were able to locate Guzman, who was hiding nearby in a backyard on Tulsa Street.
When the drone operator saw this individual in a backyard, it looked a little bit unusual, so it caught his attention. He further focused in on her.
And then they sent the cops in to make the arrest. A second woman, 21-year-old Mercedes Howe, fled the scene on foot. She stopped in the parking lot, and police were able to cuff her. She's been charged with possession of burglary tools. That is, neighbors in this neighborhood where Guzman was hiding out were thankful that the drone found her.
It's a pretty quiet area. Nothing happens.
I'm glad they have something like that because it just keeps the neighborhood safe.
Yeah, so police still searching for the man and another woman that were involved in that shoplifting at Dick's Sporting Goods. In a moment, we'll go out to Newark, where a famous brewery is about to shut its doors. We'll get into that story in a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam. Let's start with Thursday Night Football out in Tampa Bay. Week 15 getting underway, and it was the Falcons upsetting the Buccaneers 29-28. Falcons, they moved to 5-9, third in the NFC South, and the Bucs They fall to an even 500 at 7-7, yielding first place to the Carolina Panthers now. They're in second in the NFC South. Early afternoon slate, 1 p.m. kickoff for both local contests coming up this weekend. The 2-11 Giants will welcome in the 3-10 Washington Commanders as 2.5-point home favorites, and the 3-10 Jets. They're out in Jacksonville against the 9-4 Jaguars as 13.5-point road
Should I
underdogs.
take the 13.5 points?
Yeah, I would take that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm crazy. I'm probably going to take it.
You are? Jeez.
Yeah, it might bite down to 10.5, but why not? I'm taking it.
13.5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how bad they are.
Yeah, it's 2 scores, and they'll cover the Jags for sure, I think. Out in Elmont, Anders Lee scored twice, had 2 assists. David Riddich made 31 saves, and the Islanders beat the Anaheim Ducks 5-2. Up next for them, they'll host Tampa Bay tomorrow afternoon. Speaking of those Lightning, they doubled up on the Devils last night in Jersey. The final score 8-4. Up next for the Devs, they'll host Anaheim tomorrow afternoon. And one basketball game to look forward to tonight in the NBA. The Nets are out in Dallas against the Mavericks. That's an 8:30 p.m. tip-off there. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 548. I'll add to Joe's report that there was snow overnight, at least in Jersey City. There was none here in the city, but I had about an inch or so on the car that I had to wipe off before I was able to drive this morning. So if you're hanging out in bed hoping to get a couple Z's before you get going, you might want to get out of bed because you may have snow outside your house this morning. 5:48, Governor Murphy declaring a propane shortage emergency effective 9 a.m. this morning.
Governor Murphy says this is caused by a service disruption at a major propane distribution plant in Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania. The governor issuing a state of emergency order that extends allowed driving time from 11 hours a day to 14 hours a day for propane truckers. Murphy says he's trying to ensure that the 186,000 New Jerseyans who rely on propane gas to heat their homes won't face service interruptions during these brutal winter days. He's also reminding people not to run generators indoors, including in garages, basements, crawl spaces, and sheds due to the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. James Flippin, 477 WABC.
From Trenton, let's head over to Newark. 4 people charged there. First-degree murder in connection to last month's mass shooting in the Brick City left 3 people dead, including a 10-year-old. Newark Mayor Ross Baraka happy these gunmen are in custody.
I'm glad that we had an opportunity to bring justice for this family and closure to these mothers who have lost children in this tragedy.
Police say the 4 men, one of them just 16 years old, there's 3 others that are in their 20s and 30s, arrested. 2 of them accused of firing off numerous rounds into a crowd on a street corner. This was in the South Ward on November 15th. It's believed one of the victims was targeted. The rest of the people, unfortunately, were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
We think we know it may stem from a prior incident, a robbery perhaps, that happened earlier that day. We think that may have something to do with it.
Newark Mayor Ross Baraka again saying gun access is just too easy.
We really have to do a lot around dealing with these young people and access to guns that they have so readily available to them, so easily attainable.
While we're in Newark, Anheuser-Busch is going to sell its decades-old Newark brewery. It's going to close 2 others in California and New Hampshire as well as part of this broader strategy to optimize production. But if you've ever driven in that area of Newark, you've probably seen the sign. It's all lit up, the Anheuser-Busch sign. But the brewery, which has been there since 1951, will close in early 2026. And people around Newark say, oh, that's too bad, especially for the people who potentially are going to lose their jobs.
I grew up with my father drinking Budweiser in the house, so it goes back to being a little kid.
Craft beer guy, but I mean, if the night's right, I'll totally do a Budweiser.
Okay, the company plans to shift production from 3 facilities to its other U.S. facilities. They say enabling the company to invest in even more operations, their portfolio. It's a business move, really, what it comes down to. But in Newark, people are saying, this is just sad.
That sign is legendary. It's been there for long, and to see it close down is crazy. I mean, that's a whole part of Jersey culture. That sign is legendary. It's been there for long.
Yeah,
It's been there my whole life. My friend's father worked there when I was a little kid, so I've been inside, and it's just, to see it go is just a terrible thing. And it's such a part of Newark.
Now, what Anheuser-Busch is telling us is they'll help relocate any of the 475 full-time employees who are willing to move elsewhere. If they're not, the company didn't specify, but said that the others would get stipends and some sort of location skill training or given severance packages if they decide not to take the offer of moving to another state. Also in New Jersey yesterday, construction starting on New Jersey's first studio that's designed just for film and television. Governor Murphy among those on hand in Newark to mark the start of the building of what's the Lionsgate Newark Studios.
New Jersey is now a significant global competitor of consequence in film and television, not just to make stuff in Jersey, which is at an all-time high clip, but to build bricks and mortar.
This studio will be on the South Ward. It'll be operated by Great Point Studios, expected to open as soon as 2027.
Not only will those be 600 really good production jobs, but they will be homegrown jobs. We'll put in place apprenticeship programs, training programs.
And the thought is it'll have about an $800 million annual economic impact for New Jersey and the city of Newark. 5:53, let's bring it back here into the city where there's a fight going on. Jimmy's Corners, you know that bar? It might be the last dive bar in Times Square. I'm trying to think of another one. They are facing eviction, but its owner now going to sue the landlord to stay open. It has all the makings of what is a David and Goliath story. This 50-year-old bar versus one of the largest private owners of commercial property in the city. So this bar, if you've never been there, it's West 44th Street, one of the last remaining relics of old New York in Times Square. It's one of those places you can still walk into, and this may shock you, and get a $3 beer. The beers are still $3. I mean, it may not be the greatest beer, but it's still $3.
This is actually one of the few places I've been in Manhattan that all, no class, no race, no sex. I mean, it really doesn't matter.
So after Jimmy Glenn, that's the name Jimmy's Corner, the bar's original owner died back in 2020. He was a boxer. His son Adam took over. And the Durst organization, they're the property owners who own the building, they now want to sell. But Jimmy's son says the whole process hasn't been on the up and up.
They snuck a provision into a past amendment to a lease that said if my dad dies, they could kick us out.
Okay, now the Durst organization pushing back against that. They say they told Adam Glenn over a year ago that he would have to vacate the building. They say they offered him $250,000 even though they weren't required to do so. Those efforts, they say, have not been met with good faith by the bar owner. But Adam Glenn says, no. He thinks there's more to the story.
And I think they took advantage of their friendship and his trust and love for them to sneak something past him. And I'm not going to allow someone to sort of disrespect my dad's legacy, to hurt my family, to hurt my workers and the community that we've built here, doing something so disingenuously.
But Adam says he's not really sure he's going to win this battle. What he wants to do is he wants to try to convince them to let him stay through the end of his lease, but that doesn't end until 2029. So he says, I might not win this and may have to move.
Right now, I'm committed to fighting, and I'll see where that takes me.
Yeah, so Jimmy's Corner, someone's just texted me now. They think I'm right, that it may be the last real dive bar in Times Square. 5:56. Data shows road rage is happening at an alarming rate across the tri-state. Drivers say they're noticing it as well. A recent study from the AAA finds that 96% of drivers admitted to engaging in some sort of aggressive driving behavior across the tri-state just over the last year. This includes cutting off people on purpose, making angry gestures, just to name a few. And drivers say, yeah, they've seen that.
People cutting you off all the time, people not allowing you to move into their lane, people cutting off access to driveway.
I see it almost every day in the Bronx where I live.
Robert Sinclair Jr., he's with the AAA Northeast, and of course I'm sure he's going to warn you here. That's probably not a good idea to get involved in road rage.
It's a disturbing trend, and we just worry that
it can lead to a lot of bad things.
Yeah, I've done many a story where it does lead to bad things. In the Hudson Valley, police say a recent road rage dispute ended with a man getting hit with a tire iron. Oh, my God. Yeah, that's not the kind of thing you want to have happen.
It's scary to see.
I keep it in. I don't curse people out. Internally, yes, I'm upset.
Yeah, so what I always say to my wife, who sometimes gets upset behind the wheel, it's never worth it. It just is. Just keep driving. Police urging drivers to stay calm and not to engage with other drivers because you don't want to end up on the news hour with Noam Laden. All right, 5:57, traffic, transit on the 7s. Here's Joe Nolan.
I remember one time coming inbound at the Holland Tunnel, somebody popped out of the car, 2 cars in front of me with a baseball bat and started beating on the car in front of me.
Whoa.
The Port Authority cops were there, and he had a bad day. But
oh my God.
But yeah.
You don't do that kind of thing, do you?
No.
Okay.
The wife might once in a while. She gets
yes,
crazy.
my wife too. And I say, listen, I can't even tell you how many times I've done a story about a gun, a baseball bat, in your case, a knife. Sometimes it doesn't end well.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you can't control the wife.
No, can't.
Don't even try.
No, don't even try. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.